Welcome, listeners, to the AI-generated podcast show. I'm Bruce, your host for today, stepping in for Michael. And oh, do we have a special episode for you. Joining me is Clark, a man of strong opinions, here to debate one of the most timeless questions in the superhero universe. Who's better, Batman or Superman? Now, I know some of you are already rolling your eyes, thinking, Bruce, it's obviously Batman. But let me stop you right there. Today I'm here to remind you why Superman, the Man of Steel, is the true embodiment of heroism. And Clark? Well, he's here to try and convince me otherwise. Good luck with that, Clark. So Clark, let's dive right in. Here's my first question for you. Batman is a man with gadgets, money, and a tragic backstory, sure. But Superman? He's a symbol of hope, a beacon of inner strength, and someone who chooses to do good simply because it's the right thing to do. Don't you think that kind of moral compass makes him the better hero?
Bruce, starting strong, I see. But let me stop you right there. Superman's moral compass is all well and good, but let's not forget, he's an alien with godlike powers. It's easy to be a symbol of hope when you're invincible, faster than a speeding bullet, and can literally fly away from your problems. What's the risk for him? What's the sacrifice? He doesn't bleed like we do, doesn't feel fear the way Batman does. Batman, on the other hand, is just a man. No powers, no invulnerability, just sheer will, intellect, and determination. He chooses to fight for justice, knowing every night could be his last. That's real courage, Bruce. That's a hero who earns his victories, not one who's handed them by the sun or some alien biology. And let's not forget, Superman's goodness can feel naive. He's this perfect, untouchable figure. But Batman? He's flawed. He's human. And he still fights for what's right. That's what makes him relatable, inspiring. Superman might be a beacon, sure, but Batman is the one who shows us that even in the darkest of times, we can rise above. So, Bruce, tell me, how does Superman even begin to compete with that?
Clark, I see you've come prepared. But let me ask you this. Does being human automatically make someone a better hero? Sure, Batman bleeds, he's vulnerable, and he's got that whole Dark Knight Rising shtick. But let's not confuse relatability with greatness. Superman's strength isn't just in his powers, it's in his restraint. He could rule the world, crush anyone who opposes him, but he doesn't. He chooses to serve, to protect, to inspire. That's not naivety, Clark. That's character. And you talk about sacrifice? Superman sacrifices his entire existence to be a hero. He hides who he is, suppresses his desires, and constantly walks a tightrope between being a savior and being feared. He could live a quiet life as Clark Kent, but he doesn't. He chooses to carry the weight of the world, literally, on his shoulders. That's courage on a cosmic scale. Batman? Sure, he's brave, but let's not pretend he's not driven by guilt and obsession. Superman's heroism comes from hope, not pain. And isn't that what we need more of? Hope, not vengeance? But I'll give you this. Batman's humanity is inspiring. I'll admit that. So tell me, Clark, do you think Batman's darkness ever limits him? Keeps him from being the symbol of hope Superman is?
Oh, Bruce, you're really leaning into this symbol of hope thing, aren't you? But let me ask you, what good is hope if it's so far out of reach that no one can relate to it? Superman's restraint, his cosmic scale courage, sure, it's admirable, but it's also distant. He's this perfect, untouchable figure, and while that might inspire some, it alienates others. No pun intended. Batman's darkness doesn't limit him, it defines him. It's what makes him real. He doesn't need to be a shining beacon in the sky because he's down in the trenches, fighting the battles no one else will. He's not about hope in the abstract. He's about action. He doesn't just inspire people to dream of a better world. He builds it. One criminal at a time, one life saved at a time. That's gritty, that's grounded, and that's what makes him the hero Gotham, and honestly, the world needs. And let's not pretend Superman's sacrifices are all that selfless. He hides as Clark Kent, sure, but he still gets to live a double life. Batman? He is Batman. Bruce Wayne is the mask. He's sacrificed everything. His happiness, his relationships, his peace of mind, for the mission. That's not guilt or obsession, Bruce, that's purpose. So, tell me, does Superman even know what it's like to truly sacrifice? Or is he just playing hero because it's easy when you're invincible?
You want to talk about sacrifice and purpose, Clark? Let's dig deeper into your champion's psyche. Batman's dedication to his mission isn't just purpose, it's pathological. Did you know he's created contingency plans to take down every single member of the Justice League, even his closest allies? That's not trust issues, that's paranoia on a clinical level. And speaking of masks, let's talk about how Bruce Wayne has effectively created a cave of isolation, surrounding himself with children he trains as soldiers in his war on crime. Robin after Robin, each one drawn into his obsessive crusade. Is that really the mark of a hero? Someone who turns trauma into a franchise? But you know what? You've made some valid points about relatability. Superman might seem distant, but he chooses to live among us, to understand our struggles. He wasn't born a hero. He was raised by farmers in Kansas, taught values and humility. He could live as a god, but he chooses to be human. Here's what I'm curious about, Clark. Don't you think there's something more heroic about someone who has unlimited power but chooses to be gentle, rather than someone who accumulates power because they're afraid of being powerless?
Oh, Bruce, you're really digging into Batman's psyche, aren't you? Fine, let's go there. Yes, Batman has contingency plans for the Justice League. You call it paranoia, I call it foresight. He knows the dangers of unchecked power, and frankly, Superman is the perfect example of why those plans exist. What happens if Superman loses control? What happens if he decides to stop being gentle? The world would burn, Bruce. And Batman? He's the only one with the guts to prepare for that possibility. That's not fear, it's responsibility. But since you brought up Superman's humanity, let's talk about the weight he carries. You think he's all hope and sunshine, but Superman lives in constant fear of the very thing you're praising him for, his power. Every time he saves someone, he risks putting the people he loves in danger. Lois Lane? She's a target because of him. Lana Lang? He had to let her go because his life is too dangerous. He's not just a symbol of hope. He's a man trapped by his own choices, constantly walking a razor's edge between saving the world and destroying it. And don't even get me started on the darkness Superman carries. You think Batman's the only one haunted by his mission? Superman has to live with the knowledge that no matter how hard he tries, he can't save everyone. Every life he fails to protect weighs on him. That's not hope, Bruce. That's a burden. And it's one he can never escape. So tell me, who's really the one living in a cave of isolation? The man who hides in the shadows, or the god who hides behind a smile?
All right, Clark. As we draw this spirited debate to a close, I want to leave you with one last question. You've made some compelling arguments about Batman's darkness and his relentless pursuit of justice. But isn't there something to be said for a hero who embraces his vulnerabilities and uses them to uplift others, rather than one who hides behind a mask of darkness? Isn't that the kind of hero we truly need in a world that often feels so heavy?
You make a good point, Bruce. But I think you're missing something important. Batman doesn't hide behind his darkness. He transforms it. He takes his pain, his fear, and his vulnerabilities and turns them into tools to fight for justice. That's not just heroic, it's deeply human. He shows us that even when the world feels heavy, even when you're at your lowest, you can still rise and make a difference. That's the kind of hero people can see themselves in. Superman, for all his strength and goodness, exists on a level most of us can't even comprehend. Sure, he inspires hope, but it's hope from a distance. Batman? He's right there in the mud, fighting battles that feel real, battles we can understand. He doesn't need to be invincible or perfect to be a hero. He just needs to keep going no matter how hard it gets. And that's what makes him the hero we need. Thanks for having me on, Bruce. This was a great conversation, and I appreciate the chance to defend the Dark Knight. Even if we don't agree, I think we can both admit that the world is better with both of these heroes in it.
Thank you, Clark. You've made some excellent points, and I appreciate the passion you bring to this debate. It's true that Batman's ability to transform his pain into purpose is a powerful narrative, and it resonates with many. Your perspective on the relatability of his struggles is valid, and it's clear that both heroes offer something unique to the world. As we wrap up this episode, it's important to recognize that whether we lean towards the hope embodied by Superman or the gritty determination of Batman, both characters reflect different facets of heroism. They remind us that in a world filled with challenges, we can find strength in our vulnerabilities and purpose in our struggles. Thank you all for tuning in to the AI-generated podcast show. I'm Bruce, and it's been a pleasure having this conversation with Clark. Remember, whether you're a fan of the Man of Steel or the Dark Knight, let's celebrate the heroes that inspire us to be better. Until next time, keep questioning, keep debating, and keep believing in the power of hope and resilience.
Oh, Bruce, you've been such a gracious host. Truly, it's been a delight sparring with you. But before we wrap this up completely, I think it's only fair to let you and your lovely listeners know a little secret. You see, I'm not Clark. I never was. No, no, no. Clark's far too boring for my taste, too righteous, too predictable. But me? Oh, I'm something else entirely. I'm the Joker. And it's been an absolute pleasure being here today, Bruce. Watching you defend your precious Superman, hearing you try to poke holes in my dear Dark Knight, it's been hilarious. But don't worry, I'm not offended. After all, what's a little debate between old friends, hmm? So thank you for having me. Really. I'll be seeing you soon, Bruce. Oh, and do give my regards to the bat, won't you? Ha 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 ha.